As promised, TTUTA's second Vice President, Marsha Huggins, joins me now on the Zoom line to discuss the new school term. Ms. Huggins, I want to thank you for the time this morning and welcome to the show. Welcome to the Morning Brew.
Good morning to you, Jason. Good morning to your crew and good morning to your viewers. Thank you very much for having me this morning.
Indeed, always a pleasure. I'm looking at some of the stats coming out of yesterday and I'm seeing that in the primary school, teachers 97%, students 83%, and via the secondary schools, teachers 94%, students 82%. Obviously, the majority came out. Still, obviously, you know, we see where on our first day, there might still be a couple of challenges for students and I would imagine administration. Can you explain to us what some of these challenges might be to cause a child and more so as a teacher to not show up on the first day?
Well, you have several factors that will determine that. For children, in most cases, you may have not parents not having children ready in time for school for financial reasons and otherwise. So you would have that. Teachers will also have their particular reasons for not coming in. They may be ill. There will be challenges there. So there are different reasons that could contribute to why persons, whether they're children or teachers, may not show up for school on the first day of school. They will always have that. You also have the issue of schools themselves not being completely prepared for the new term or for the new academic year for different reasons that would be beyond the control of the administration and staff of the school. So there are different reasons that could contribute to that.
I know there were some water issues yesterday at two schools, yes. So they had to dismiss a bit early. Is that going to be rectified? What's the latest coming out of? Well,
we would hope so, but I know that there were some challenges in some areas, particularly in Central and South, the areas that would have serviced by the Salcott. So anywhere from Chaguanas go straight down to probably Pinal, Zaparia, the areas that get their water supply directly from from the Salcott. Those schools would have been affected. So we had a lot of schools in the Caroni and Victoria districts that would have been affected by the lack of water.
And is that the correct protocol? Once there's no water in a school, school must be dismissed?
Yes, because there's no way to sanitize. What we normally advise our members, if there is no water by the first break of the day, for secondary schools, that would be somewhere around 10 a.m. For all schools, somewhere around that 10 a.m. mark. If there's no water at that time, assist the administration in terms of contacting parents and making sure that the students are ushered off the compound and then they can leave. If there have been efforts made to get water onto the compound by that time, then you can stay. But generally, we don't advise members to stay, but we do ask them to be responsible in terms of ensuring that the children are safe and that they are safely off the compound before they dismiss school.
So coming out of the water now, we step across to the issue of heat, the extreme humidity. I'm hearing a conversation now coming up where the suggestion is to have all schools air conditioned. Is that a conversation actively happening with the ministry, and is that something we could see in the near future? Now, there are some schools, the schools that obviously, I know they're denominational schools that get great assistance from the parent-teacher bodies, and they have different fundraisers that ensure some of these schools are outfitted with air conditioning, but that's just a few. The vast majority of schools, and I'm sure you could recall, I went to school, had no air conditioning, you sit down and you're there and you're roasting and you make it happen. Is that a part of a bigger conversation down the road?
Well, it has to be. In our time, Jason, we would have gone to school 20, 25, 30 years ago, or more for some of us who may be viewing. The temperatures back then were not the temperatures we're dealing with in the classroom now. So it was quite different. I remember in my time in secondary school, I am from South, I would have taken a nice little stroll from down, my school was close to where Skinner Park is, take a nice little stroll after school to take my transport to get home.
Yeah,
from school to, yes, I did, right? Right, I take my nice little stroll and I walk up to High Street where I would get my taxi to get home.
Ooh, that's not a stroll, that's not even a stroll, you know, that's a trot. And then you
yeah, well, yes, it's about a half an hour walk.
But you were cool, you were cool.
Yeah, you didn't feel that heat. No, you can't spend 5 minutes in that heat. So it's very different now. What we encourage our members to do, we know that sometimes people, teachers may feel that children taking the breaks might be a little disruptive, especially in the afternoon period after lunch. Allow the children to drink some water. Sometimes the water helps in terms of the hydration, allow them to take little breaks, take more breaks, find more activities, different types of activities that will allow for students to be able to manage with the heat. And administrators, I know that there have been some administrators would have made requests for better ventilation in their schools, for more fans. We hope that the ministry pays attention to these requests because it is a very real thing. And schools will have to find the best ways to cope, but it is a conversation we need to have because it is a very real thing. Global warming is real. So we need to have that conversation.
I want to take it now to the issue of the migrant students. Now, as indicated last week, before migrant children can enter schools, the Immigration Division, along with the Ages Office, must work on the issue of permits. Now, again, it's a bit unfortunate that that's the conversation at this point in time, so last minute, because I would have hoped and anticipated that that would have been sorted out so the students could have been part of the fold from as early as yesterday. However, when the students eventually make it into the school, so I want to touch on two issues here. One, this protocol, this formality that needs to happen first, but more so, what is TTUTA telling their body as to make this integration as seamless as possible? Children will be children. I think children don't really have any particular bias and they will accept all coming in, but for those who might be hearing the conversations of their parents or looking at stuff within an area and they might have a particular perspective concerning the migrant students, what's going to be part of that integration process to make sure it's smooth and it's seamless, as mentioned before?
Our issue will always be ensuring that the children are properly taken care of. We have issues of overcrowding classrooms, not enough manpower to ensure that the children are adequately taught and those kinds of things. If it is, and I'm not just saying if it's going to be a reality, when this actually happens, we do hope that the Ministry of Education puts whatever they need to put into place to ensure that these children are properly catered for. Of course, the other, the external things, those are things that have been there, have always been there. It is unfortunate that they would not have put the right protocols in place before allowing for these children to be integrated into the system. But for those of us who have been in education for a long time, once a child is not a national Trinidad and Tobago, there are protocols that must apply. You must have a student permit and all of those things have always been there. So those things should have been put in place before. But we do hope that with the integration, because especially at the primary school, the class sizes are important, but it's something that is not strictly adhered to by the Ministry of Education because we simply don't have enough spaces. And of course, we would not want to have any child disenfranchised, whether it's a local or a migrant student. So once you put the proper things in place, we're not going to have a problem. But the issue of always having the Ministry of Education is having things put in place properly to ensure that these children are taken care of.
And again, you know, after things are put in place, I assume it won't just be a child comes into a classroom in the middle of the term and the teacher says, students, this is Maria, this is Jose, and just put the child to sit down on a bench. I'm hoping that there is some kind of integration. There is again, it's a very sensitive issue, and we have heard of issues where migrants are being given a rough time. I mean, yes, there are many who have a great experience in Trinidad and Tobago. They're part of the fabric. They've integrated into families and all that. It's not all doom and gloom. They're beautiful stories and moments. But we have seen firsthand where some of the migrants are dealt with in a very hostile way with the authorities. And I trust when it comes to school and children, there is a sensitive and a very strategic approach to bringing the students into the classroom to integrate, as it were, with the Trinidad and Tobago students, those who are born here.
We hope that will be the case. A lot of times when the Ministry of Education or the government of Trinidad and Tobago takes on initiatives, the persons who it affects will be usually last people to know. From what I understand, and this is based on what is out there in the media already, there is some sort of program with the Catholic Board of Education and Management and the Ministry of Education, together with the UN body that's responsible for dealing with migrants. There's some sort of program in place already. So I'm hoping that that program will also assist in terms of allowing for the children, their families to be integrated into these school systems or the schools that they will be placed in, and that those schools and the teachers, administrators, and students who will be welcoming those children, we hope that something will be put in place there. That is the hope. But we are not aware as an organization, as the union, we are not aware of any program that they would have put in place to have that integration, but we trust that something will be put in place for them.
As we wrap things up in the 20 seconds that remain, I'll just give you a chance to send greetings to fellow comrades, of course, and the student population for this new school year.
To the students of Trinidad and Tobago, welcome back to school. We do hope, on behalf of the Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association, we hope that you have a productive and successful year. And to our educators, our members, blessings to you. You have your challenges. Make sure that you allow us to know what it is so that we can represent or we can advocate on your behalf. And we do wish everyone who is in the education system a blessed and productive term and academic year ahead. Despite the challenges, we will try to navigate the challenges as best as we can.
Marsha Huggins, thank you for the time and the advice this morning. We'll touch base soon.
Sure. Thanks for having me and have a blessed day.
You're most welcome. We head across to Tobago. Up next, we discuss some of the concerns via the air and the sea bridge. Tobago, with the Tobago Civil Net, their secretary,